In this tutorial, we are going to cover the basics of keyframing and the timeline. So first, we'll explore what a timeline is. So timeline is this small section at the bottom of the screen. It shows us the start point and the end point of an animation. And this here represents the current frame where our cursor is right now. So if you want to move our cursor, this value also change. And if we want to change the value and move our cursor to some other place, we can do it manually over here, or we can enter the value from the keyboard. Now, what is a keyframe? A keyframe is a reference point which declares the start and the end of an animation. So it could be a transform animation, color change animation, light, power animation. Any of these things can be keyframed. So keyframe is used to define a motion or an animation. How do we do that? We have this default cube at the center of Blender in our viewport. What we'll do to insert a keyframe is we'll press K. I'm talking about Blender 4.2.0. So in previous versions, we used to press I to insert keyframe, but from Blender 4.2.0, we have K for this menu. So once we select an object, we press K, and there's a whole different menu that appears over here, in which we can insert a keyframe for location, rotation, scale, or location, rotation and scale, and there are many other. What I want to do is I want to play with transformation of this cube. So the initial position, I want it to stay like this. So I'll press K and then click on location, rotation and scale. And I want you to pay deep attention to this menu. As soon as I press K, location, rotation and scale gets keyframed over here. And at the bottom, the timeline shows this yellow dot over here, which represents our keyframe. And I want my animation to be 4 seconds, thinking in my mind that I want it to be 30 frames per second. So that will be 4 into 30 for 4 seconds. I'll go to 1/20th frame. And then what I want to do over here is to enter the final position, location or scale of the object. And then again press K and add the keyframe. Firstly, I'll press N to make this menu appear over here. I find it very, very handy. So I'll move this object in the X direction, and in this previous tutorial we had learned how to move an object. So I'll change the location to 4 meters in the X axis, 4 meters in the Y axis, and 4 meters in the Z axis. Then what I want to do is I want to rotate my cube in the X axis 180 degrees, in the Y axis 360 degrees, and in the Z axis, again 360 degrees. You can do whatever you want, whatever is desired by you. You can enter values accordingly. I want this cube to shrink a little. I want it to turn into a small plank. So what I'll do is, to decrease the height, I will scale the Z axis down to something like this. Then I want it to appear like a plank, so I'll scale it on the Y axis. I'll reduce X a little so that we can see transformation in all the axes. And then again, I'll press K, location, rotation and scale, and we have our animation ready. To play this animation, I'll just go to the initial frame and then press spacebar to run the animation, and here it is. This is the final animation, and that happened because we added 2 keyframes. We gave the computer a reference point, the initial position of the object, and on the 1/20th frame, we had added the final position of the object. That's how we make motion graphics inside Blender.